Hello, this is Domenico Talterio speaking, and recently I published a blog on medium.com/Zowe about a new plugin for the Zowe command line that is available, and is the plugin that interacts with IBM Z JCL Expert. You can find the blog with all these steps, well, some information about the product, about the plugin, and some steps for a scenario that now we'll describe in this demo with even additional commands. So I have on my laptop installed Zowe command line, and if I type Zowe myself, you can see that on top of the core, let's say, components of the core group of commands for Zowe command line, I have a few plugins installed for IBM products that extend Zowe. In this recorded demo, I will focus on the Z JCL Expert plugin, and that provides interesting commands, quite few, just 3 commands that are able to validate JCL either on the local file system, or if they are in a dataset, or on a remote file system. In this demo, I will mainly use the local and the remote. So as local, to get the help of the commands, you can iteratively submit the JCLX, for example, local -help to get the help for the specific command with all the attributes and the options that are available. In this case, as you can see, the file path is required, and then there are other options about the output if you want to have in text format or in JSON. The default is JSON, and so on. But I always find useful to move to the web help that is launched in a browser. As soon as you launch the command Zowe JCLX -help, and it opens a web page that is reading the help from your local system, and it gives you a 3 view of the commands, and here you can iteratively go from one command to another to see what are the options available, what are the arguments, and it is applicable to all the plugins that you have installed on your machine. Now that I showed you the help, let's go to the real demo. The first test that I will do is about checking a JCL that is local to my machine, that is the same of a JCL that I have here. But let me show you how it works. So Zowe JCL XL to specify local file, and then I called it demo JCL.txt, and I say that I want the output in text format because it's more readable for a human. It will transfer the JCL anyway to the mainframe, and it will perform the check on the JCL. The output in JSON format will give you, some information about the version of the JCL, the settings that you are using, and the analysis of the JCL. So for each row of the JCL, it will print the row of the JCL, and then if there is any error or something, it is written over here. So here you can see the statement in JCL, how the statement appears after symbol replacement, and specifically here the symbol replaced was the UID to my UID, and then in the first row there is already an error because as address space it was expecting something that is virtual or real, and indeed I made a mistake and I wrote virp, and it is got as an error by JCL Expert. In the second row, in the step A, I'm trying to execute a program that doesn't exist, and so JCL Expert recognizes that module cannot be resolved. And on the step B, indeed, I made everything okay, so just an informational message saying that the load module was successful, and the IFBR14 was found in the sys1 helpalib. And finally, I tried to use a dataset that does not exist on my system, and indeed the JCL Expert is able to find that the dataset does not exist. At the end, you have a summary of what the product found, and they say that the process 5 statements, he found 3 errors, 0 warning, and 1 informational message. If you need to parse the output, not read it in the screen, without the option -o text, you can get the output in JSON format that it is more, let's say, easy to be parsed by a program, by a script, to identify the errors. So in this case, you will have the version of the plugin, but then even the error with the error code, the message ID, the message, and so on, and the line number where the problem occurred, and at the end, the result. So it was a first example with a text file that I have on local machine, but I have for this demo even few datasets on my remote system that I want to show you here. So the first one that I will use is this one, that is exactly the same that I was having even locally, and just to show you that it is possible to execute the check through this plugin even remotely. And so I will use the remote dataset or ds command. So JCLX dataset, and now I copy paste the name of the dataset and the dataset member to avoid typing problems, and the output I want it in text. And since it is basically the same JCL, we will get the same kind of result. So again, it was the symbol was replaced, the verb is wrong, the module misprogram cannot be loaded, while the IFBR14 can be resolved, and the dataset doesn't exist. So now let's take a look at in JCL. It's a little bit more complex. Is this one where I'm using few dataset names that are preserved some. So I will issue the command with checking the JCL called JCLX demo 2, and in this case you can see that the first is an informational message for the IAB copy that was resolved and when it was found, and then the dataset C Taylor ISPF JCL1 in parameter does not exist, and then finally there is an error in stream statement 12. So here, as you can see here, yeah, there is an error in this statement. Let's move forward to another one, another JCL, more interesting. Let me show you here. It's this one. I'm not so used to ISPF panel. This is the one that I wanted to use even earlier, where I'm using some, and you will see the result here, some names for the dataset that are reserved. So this is the JCL that I'm analyzing, and as you can see, the label for job is too long, is the first error that is caused by the product. Then he coded that the load module was resolved, it's an informational message, and then he found a few dataset names that are reserved just name, so cannot be used in a JCL. And the same for the last one with job cuts. So in this case, the statement processes were 16, 6 errors were found, one informational message was given. A frequent question that I get when I present the JCL Expert product, analyzing a JCL, and when the people start seeing a problem like we saw at the beginning, so in this JCL, it is about dataset. This dataset does not exist. What happens if the dataset doesn't exist now, but will exist at the time that the JCL will be executed, the job will be submitted? There is a way to avoid this kind of errors, and the answer is yes. If we look at the options, other than the output options that we are already using to say that the output, we want the output in text and not in JSON, there is another option for dataset name check or -c that turn on or off the check of dataset name or Unix system services file existence. So if I give the same command specifying -c off on the same JCL, you will see I made a mistake, obviously. Okay, the order of the option is important. You see that now this row has been analyzed, but it is not given as an error the fact that dataset doesn't exist. So I turned off the check on dataset names, or the check on the existence of datasets. Other options that I'm not showing now, but are about the job class. You can specify what is the job class of the job when it will be checked. And another question that I get usually is, okay, what about I have a JCL that created the dataset at a certain step and then use it later? Is the product able to recognize this kind of situation? So not claiming for an error for the dataset that will be created in the JCL itself, or vice versa, where the dataset will be deleted in the JCL and then used if the product is able to recognize it. And for this demo, for this scenario, I created this dataset where, other than other problems, here at the step 3 we are creating a dataset that we will use in the step 4. And then we will delete it, and then we will use again, and so it should have an error. And it is what we want to verify now. So we remove the off, and we will test the JCL dataset. Okay, so this is the output with 24 statement processed. And okay, we have the usual information about the resolving of the symbol, and again the problem with VERP, the problem with the program that cannot be loaded, cannot be resolved, while the IFBR14 was resolved correctly. Then here is the first error. Here we are trying to use this dataset that does not exist, and so the first error. Then we create a dataset that is tracked during further, and indeed the dataset is created here, and then we use it later. here, and indeed we don't have any problem, but then it is the dataset is deleted, and when we attempt to access it here, we get an error. So in one JCL, the error specifies even that the dataset is deleted by the statement 19 in the same JCL. Another information that is nice, it's a warning here to say that the step with duplicate double, step 4. Indeed, possibly you can see easier here, we are using step 4 twice in our JCL, and it is recognized by the product and given as an error. So this was a quick overview of the commands that are available as part of the JCL Expert plugin. If you want to learn more, feel free to contact us, and thank you for your attention.